The sun dipped low over Port Charles Harbor, shimmering across the water as if whispering secrets no one was ready to hear. At Windermere, the elegant Cassadine estate stood silent, imposing and beautiful, like a fortress cut from marble and mystery. Inside, young Ace Cassadine practiced his scales on the grand piano while Nina Reeves Cassadine watched with a soft smile, a rare moment of peace. Elijah Clay, ever the protective bodyguard, stood nearby in a casual stance that belied his hawk-like awareness of every sound, every movement, every flicker of emotion in the room. "Just one more time, sweetheart," Nina coaxed as Ace hit a high note perfectly. "Your grandfather would have been proud." Ace grinned. "Granddad would have wanted me to finish before dinner." Nina's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, noting the caller ID, Dante Falconeri, the steadfast man she'd once loved, and whose loyalty had been a battleground neither wanted to revisit. "Duty calls," she said, slipping out of the room. Elijah's eyes narrowed. A guard at church, a Cassadine heir? Nothing was random in Port Charles. But in the shadows of the estate gardens, beyond manicured hedges and moonlit pathways, something felt off. Elijah felt it in his bones, a hum of danger beneath the surface calm. The clock struck 10:47 p.m. when alarm bells blared through the Cassadine estate. A silent alarm triggered. Elijah sprinted down the marble corridors. Nina rushed from her quarters with startled dread in her eyes. And where was Ace? Empty. The piano's last note still hung in the air. The window was ajar. Glass sparkled faintly on the floor. "Elijah," Nina whispered, a chill biting into her voice. "Someone took him." The Port Charles Police Department flooded Windermere. Dante Falconeri took the lead, his jaw tight, gaze sharp. "We need to treat this as an abduction," he said, turning to Marcus Taggart and Laura Collins in tandem with security footage specialists and evidence techs. Nina sank to her knees where Ace had been practicing. "Who would want my son?" "The Cassadine heir." Dante crouched beside her. "We'll find him. I promise." But inside, something tugged at him, a whisper of danger rooted deeper than a simple kidnapping. Port Charles had seen many sinister plots, but this was on another level. 1. Valentin Cassadine. Ace's uncle, once thought gone, now back in Port Charles. Valentin's history with his father could easily breed resentment. But would he take his own nephew? If so, why? 2. Victor Cassadine. Though presumed deceased, someone might claim to act on his behalf. A hidden ally? A secret protégé? 3. Helena Cassadine's loyalists. Even from beyond the grave, Helena's legacy inspired fanatics. Could an extremist faction of Cassadine loyalists have resurfaced? 4. A rogue international enemy. The Cassadines have many enemies abroad. Someone seeking leverage, ransom, or revenge. 5. Dante's old foes. Could this be a diversion, something so personal it shakes Dante to his core? Security footage revealed a masked figure in black near Ace's room at exactly 10:46 and 23 seconds p.m., just seconds before the alarm. They moved with precision. Not amateur. Someone knew exactly where Ace would be. Dante studied the footage with narrowed eyes. This wasn't random. Someone planned this. Nina swallowed hard. But who? Just as the investigation intensified, a chilling communication disrupted the leads, an anonymous video upload. The screen crackled to life. A masked voice spoke slowly, with gravely menace. "I have the Cassadine heir. If you want him alive, meet at the docks. Midnight. Come alone." Then the video cut. Elijah stood rigid. This is no ordinary kidnapper. This is someone hunting power. Dante exhaled sharply. The docks. Midnight. Let's move. Nina's face went pale. "Wait, I'm not leaving without my son." Dante hesitated, then nodded. "We do this smart." Darkness swallowed the decrepit warehouse by the docks. The echo of water lapping reverberated against rusted metal shipping containers. Dante crept forward, weapon drawn. Elijah and Taggart flanked him. Nina waited in the shadows, desperation burning in her eyes. A voice boomed from the darkness. "You're late." Out stepped a familiar figure cloaked in shadow. Dante froze. Recognition washed over him, unbidden and cold. It was Silas Clay. But, dead. Silas stepped into the dim light, alive, changed, and bearing scars no one remembered. "Nina," he said softly. "It's been a long time." Nina staggered as if struck. "That's impossible. You died." Silas offered no denial. "I have Ace," he continued. But he's safe, for now. Dante lowered his weapon fractionally.
Why?
Why take him? Silas's eyes burned, not with malice, but conviction. He has to understand the truth about his legacy. Flashbacks flooded the minds of those present, Port Charles' darkest moments. Silas had once been a healer, a man of integrity. But after orchestrated events had taken everything from him, he vanished, broken, believed dead. Now he stood before them. Not a villain, but a man twisted by grief and purpose. What truth? Nina asked, voice trembling. Silas's gaze hardened. The Cassadine legacy is poison. I want Ace to choose his own fate, away from it. Dante tried to reason with Silas. He appealed to the man's humanity. But something didn't add up. Elijah caught a flicker in Silas's eyes, regret or something darker. Suddenly, a loud bang. A distraction. Gunshots rang. In the chaos, Silas disappeared, taking Ace with him. Taggart, he's gone. We lost him. Dante, no. Silas never wanted a confrontation. He wants control of the narrative. Nina, distraught, what does he want with my son? My baby is only 10 years old. The room was tense. Fear clung to the air. Then the radio crackled. Officer, we found a note. It says, meet at Cassadine Island. Bring the truth. Dante, Taggart, and a tactical team sailed into the fog-shrouded island. The Cassadine stronghold rose from the mist, old stones, secret vaults, and memories of terror. Lightning splintered the sky. Inside the grand hallway, they found symbols, Helena-era markings, sinister and arcane. Dante's voice echoed, this is no random kidnap. This is personal. Finally, footsteps. Ace's faint voice. Mom? Dad? Nina's breath cracked. They followed the sound into an underground chamber, lit by torches flickering against damp stone. There, bound in ropes, but unharmed, was Ace. But beside him stood another figure. And it wasn't Silas. Slowly, the figure stepped into view. It was Christina Corinthos Davis, but her eyes were wild, haunted. Nina, she whispered, trembling, I didn't mean for it to go this far. Nina was stunned. Christina's been through battles with her own demons, but kidnap? Christina swallowed hard. It was him, she said, voice trembling. He told me Ace needed to see the truth. He promised no harm would come to him. Dante stepped forward. Who? Christina's lips quivered. Silas. Christina explained how Silas had contacted her weeks ago, claiming he wanted to expose the truth behind every Cassadine child, that they were doomed to repeat their family's legacy of pain and manipulation. When he told me Ace was in danger because of the legacy, Christina's voice broke. I thought helping him would protect Ace. At that moment, Ace ran to his mother and hugged her. Mommy, Daddy, I was scared, he whispered. Nina's eyes filled with tears, not of anger, but relief. Dante held his son tight. But Silas was still out there. Then, footsteps. Heavy. Determined. Silas appeared in the shadows, hands raised, face weary. Let him go, Dante demanded. Silas's eyes were hollow. I'm not your enemy anymore. I only ever wanted to break the cycle. Elijah, Dante whispered, signaling for backup. But Silas took a step forward. Ask him, Silas said to Ace. Does he want to be a Cassadine trapped by fate? Ace looked at his mother, uncertain, and then at Dante, steady, protective. No, Ace said firmly. I'm a Cassadine, but I choose my life. I choose my family, not some old curse. Silas closed his eyes, and something in him shattered. Suddenly, gunfire. Not from the law. From behind. Someone else, watching from the shadows. A figure shrouded. They fired once, twice, 3 times. Silas went down. Chaos erupted. Elijah tackled Ace to the ground just in time. Dante fired, searching for the attacker, who vanished into the labyrinth of Cassadine corridors. Silas lay barely conscious. Taggart knelt beside him. You told me the truth was worth saving, Silas murmured. Taggart's voice was soft. Truth doesn't justify violence. Silas closed his eyes. The echo of his intentions, good or misguided, hung in the air like a half-spoken prayer. Ace was safe. But the mystery shooter was still out there. Back at the hospital, Nina sat beside Ace, who was safe, but shaken. Dante stood nearby, scanning the room with that familiar, guarded intensity. You did good, Nina told Ace. Ace looked at his parents, Dante and Nina, mixed heritage, blended love, and strength. I just want a normal life. Dante smiled faintly. Normal's overrated in Port Charles. But we'll fight for your future. Outside, Taggart reviewed the crime scene reports. I don't buy that Silas acted alone, he told Dante. Dante shook his head. Whoever fired those shots knew Silas, or knew how to use the chaos. And somewhere in the darkness of Port Charles, a new threat lingered, silent, hidden, watching. Who pulled the trigger? And why? Because in the city where secrets breed and shadows whisper, some mysteries never truly end.